Hey guys, this little video is going to give you 6 questions that you can use to figure out how much you ought to charge as a professional speaker when you get an invitation to speak. This is one of the most commonly asked questions. How much do I charge? What is the norm? And I'm going to give you 6 questions that will help you to answer that question. If we don't know each other yet, I'm Marjorie Stiegler. I'm a physician and I am the founder of the Speaking Prescription, the Social Prescription, and the Branding Prescription, which are all courses and programs for physicians who want to learn to make money as a professional speaker, online, or with their professional brand or social presence. So let's dive right in. Every week I'm doing a Q&A. I'm collecting all the questions and bringing answers each week via either my own page or in group like this. So I'm going to be answering this question today, and it says, I got a call, this might sound familiar to many of you. I got a call from a company to be a speaker at an employee wellness event in town, so local. Should I do this for free? Should I charge? And if I charge, how much? What's the norm? So that's the question. Probably many of you have similar questions. You've been invited to speak and there's no mention of money, so you don't really know what to do. So here are 6 questions that you can ask yourself. The first one is, what's the event's budget? Now, they aren't probably going to tell you that up front, but you can make some inferences based upon what you know and a little bit of homework around their organization. And if they are a nonprofit or an educational group, that budget is probably a little bit lower. Certainly, if they are a private company or corporation, their budget is higher, and they do expect to pay. They aren't going to be shocked that you have a fee. So I would do a little bit of homework there. Certainly, you can also do some mathematical estimations depending upon whether or not people have to pay to attend. If they do, then you can figure out the attendance, the amount of money that it costs to attend, the venue, and kind of account for those sort of expenses, and you get a rough ballpark idea of how much their speaker budget is. So there are some tricky ways to do that. But in any case, if it's a private corporation, they will expect for you to charge, so you certainly should do that. The second question is, do you want or need this opportunity? Now, if you're just getting started and you really want to grow and develop as a professional speaker, you may want to do it for that reason alone. And if that's the case, then you may want to say yes. I still recommend throwing out some kind of a fee, but if it doesn't work out, you can still accept it, right? It might be something that you still really want to do because you get a variety of benefits. You can test out your material, and you can often get a lot of really valuable non-monetary benefits from being there. Aside from just the experience, you can also often get testimonials, you can get videography, photography, and of course, future recommendations. You can get hired on. So there's a lot of good reasons to go, and you may want to go just for your own practice or for any one of those things I just mentioned. So if you want or need it, then I would charge perhaps a little bit less aggressively, or if they're asking you to volunteer, maybe just do that. Another question is, how experienced are you? Now I'm going to check some notes because these aren't my numbers, but so according to the Harvard Business Review, if you're a complete newbie speaker, and this is across all industry, by the way, so I think as physicians, the number is higher. Complete newbie speakers should charge anywhere between $500 to $2,500 for a talk. If that blows your mind because you're used to giving grand rounds for free or for a smaller honorarium, just realize in the outside world, people pay their speakers. So a complete newbie, and that's probably not you. Many of you have given talks, right? You've given grand rounds, you've given lectures, you've been all around, so you're not a newbie. Beginning speakers are those just establishing their brand, $5,000 to $10,000. Those who have a book or some other form of social proof, $10,000 to $20,000. Those who are very well known in their field can bring in $20,000 to $35,000 per talk. Many of you guys know, so my keynote fee is between about $15,000 and $25,000, and I'm most certainly not a celebrity. So this is just the way it is in the world of business in professional speaking. And then of course, celebrities command 6- and 7-figure speaking fees. That's according to the Harvard Business Review. So that's a ballpark area. You're asking what's the norm. I think a lot of us really underestimate what the norm is. So particularly if you're being asked by an outside corporation, the norm is much higher than you probably think it is. All right, the other question is, will it cost you money to attend? So will it cost you money to attend? Do you have to take time off from work? Do you have to take a vacation day, for example, or perhaps more even to travel? And what's the cost of your preparation? Now, if this is something that you deliver this type of presentation on a regular basis and you can do it in your sleep, the answer to that might be there's almost no prep. But if it's something that you're going to develop sort of in a personalized way for this client, or it's just a completely new topic that you've been asked to speak about and you're going to need to put in either some slide preparation, rehearsal, or both, then that has a cost to it, and you shouldn't forget that when you're factoring in your fee. The other thing is travel expense. So this is, I think I'm on the fifth question. Travel expense, right? Is the travel expense going to be paid, or are you going to expect to take it out of your fee, right? Because that's two totally different things. I think if you can, you should, of course, have travel already paid, and you should arrange for them to pay for it so that it doesn't come to you in the way of in your honorarium, or even, frankly, in just a reimbursement. Just have them book it. Have them book it. So it should be separate, I think, from the fee. And that way you know exactly how much you're earning for your expertise and delivery of that expertise as a speaker. And then the final one that I think is really, really important for us as physicians to keep in mind is, are there any legal or policy issues with your current employer that prevent you from accepting money for speaking? Now, some people don't really think about this, but the reality is that if you are being asked to speak in a subject matter for which you are hired by your current employer, like that's your expertise for which you are hired by the employer, then there may be something in the contract, in the university or organization's bylaws or other policies that prevent you from basically double dipping, right? From earning income for the exact same thing for which they have hired you. Now, I don't usually run into this problem because when I'm giving presentations, it's about things like social media and branding and marketing. And of course, I'm an anesthesiologist. So nobody hires me as an anesthesiologist to do social media, right? They hire me separately for that, and the institution where I work use me as an anesthesiologist. There's very clearly no double dipping there, even though I have both of those areas of expertise. I'm bringing them in completely separate ways. On the other hand, if somebody were asking me to come and give a lecture about anesthesia, that might well be viewed by my organization as within the purview that they sort of own, because they've hired me to do that. And part of the academic circuit is going around and making a name for the university by teaching and raising visibility around those areas of expertise for the organization for which you are employed. And it will vary, so you need to check. Some places will require you basically to either decline any and all honorarium or to turn it over to the department. Now, if they require that of you, you may be able to be clever and use that, to negotiate with your chairman or your boss or the partners or whomever, a way to buy yourself out of your clinical time so that in effect you are being paid. But that is sort of a case-by-case thing. I don't know how it works where you work, but you're going to want to check on this because it's very often an issue for physicians who start to get invited to do private events, that if it's in the same area for which your employer basically owns you, you may not be able to accept money. Now you might, I don't know, but what I'm saying is it's really worth finding out, because before you get all excited to have a paid speaking engagement, you're going to want to be sure that either you get to keep that money or that you have some kind of tangible benefit from your workplace, some days off of work or some other benefit that you agree upon that is going to be worth that money. Otherwise, you are doing it for free and you just have to decline. In which case, you want to go back up to the top and ask yourself those same questions again, right? So what's the event budget? That's one of the things to know and to be aware of before you even begin to suggest money. How experienced are you based on that Harvard Business Review breakdown? You can charge probably at least $2,500 and not hard to get into the $10,000 and $20,000 range. Then do you want or need the opportunity in order to either build your credibility, get some non-monetary tangible benefits like the ability to sell your book or the ability to get some videography and photography? And will it cost you money to attend if you have to take time away from building work or use a vacation day? How is travel being accounted for in that math? And do you get to keep the money? Those are the questions you should ask before you decide how much you wish to charge. And by the way, I think you can always decide to do something for less than your fee, but you shouldn't make your fee willy-nilly. You should use those questions, establish a fee, and if they cannot meet you there and you still want to do the opportunity, then you might be able to say, how much you really think that the cause is so important or the organization is so important, and so you're willing to do it as a volunteer or at least partly volunteer your time, in which case you can bring your price down. But you don't want to bring your price down just because they don't want to pay you. That really discredits you as a professionally paid speaker. So I hope those tips are helpful when you're thinking about those invitations that you get. Just remember that you are there to be hired. An invitation is like, do you want to go to the dance with me? You are there to be booked, to be hired as a professional speaker if you are hoping to get paid. So you got to approach it that way. And of course, make sure you have at the ready a professional looking contract to send them that covers all of these items and all the other items that are really important for making sure that you have a true agreement and a actual business relationship with the folks who are hiring you as a speaker. Any questions that you have, please leave them in the comments. I'll come back and see them and I'll be able to reply to them or maybe even add them to a future Q&A.